Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. That was this, it's basically like a Meteor 75 Beta FPV bind and fly with a motor swap. The motors that are on it are Flywoo Robo 1002 23,500s with the Gemfan 16.9 biblades. Oddly enough, this is their newer set of these motors. They're the same thing, but they're a cool purple and yellow Lakers color scheme. I have a set of the previous generation all black ones for sale. Let me know if you're interested. 4 of them that I have run, but I wasn't mean to them, and then 1 absolutely fresh one. Yeah, message me. I'm really surprised at the performance of this thing. I cut the end of the video off, but here, look at this. For Christ's sakes. Hang on. I wanted to show you the runtime, but the video ended. Here, look at this runtime on the ending stats of the OSD. I'm just going to go back to the intro thing. 4 minutes, yo, railing around, too. Like, that was like a big... Maggie went for a walk, and I came with her and just brought my shit and drug my bag around. and just found that little spot. And I mean, that's a lot of full throttle. That's a lot of like covering ground. And yeah, for it to get 4 minutes on a 1S 450, that's pretty damn good. I'm pretty impressed by this thing, man. This is heavy too. This is like a heavy build. The canopy camera VTX setup adds a lot of weight to this over like a Mobula 7, for example. But yeah, these motors handle. I really wish that these motors had more kV. 27.5 grams dry. This thing. I would love for the motors to have more kV. They are a little bit underpowered, but I think what comes from that is the ability to just fly it hard, fly it full throttle a lot, and not completely eat the battery. And so yeah, this thing is fun. I've had a bunch of fun with this thing. It's interesting, man. Like not having that extra power that I want, kind of makes me fly it a little bit different and makes me get a little bit creative with what I can do with it with that little bit lower power to weight ratio, and it's still very fun. So yeah, really cool stuff. What's up, everybody? Today we're going to finish the Quadmula F3 Siren. Finish. I got tons of work done on it after the stream Friday, all night long actually. And then I got a little bit of work done yesterday. We're going to run this thing through beta flight. This is the HDLRC Spectre. We're going to do that first, actually. AIO. And should be able to just get it fired up and maybe the... well, I have not a single battery. That's not true. I have 2 batteries in my bag that are still charged, I think. Hold on, let me see. Hold on. Hang on. Coming back, I swear. Hang on. Jesus. There we go. Yeah, there's 2 batteries here, but let me put another couple on the another few on the charger. Let me I'm gonna put a couple of 300s on the charger as well. We'll do a little comparison today for our 6 batteries. 6 batteries. 75 versus 65. Have we done that comparison enough, or should we keep doing it more and more? All right, charging. Oh, that battery's fully charged. So we got one 450 that we can run later. That one's dead. One of these is going to be charged. There it is. It's not charged all the way though. Let's just top it off. That one's dead. This one's at 4 volts. That's weird. What's it doing at 4 volts? I brought this Mobula 6 rig as well to kind of compare it, but I forgot to bring the ELRS 3.0 module, so I wasn't able to fly this to compare it. But yeah, I put 3 batteries through that other one. I put 3 batteries through this. And I had a good time. I had a really good time. So yeah, I feel like I've been a little bit mean about the 1002s. You know, for whatever. I don't know. In the chat, Cloudhopper was first. Smoking Dog Cujo was next. Robert Rosser, Douglas 6, Rock Crawler, 4 Little Pigs, Simo, Northern Tier, Apache Smoke Wounded Sniper. What's up, homie? CH3, Zabluga, Bad, Robert Rosser again, Brand Anderson, Fun Per Volt, Will C, Kaz 1973. Is that when you were born, Kaz? 73? Brand Anderson, Zabluga again, Will C. What's up, everybody? C. Will says, anyone knows what the best motors for 85? No such thing as best, Will C. Just different. 85 millimeter rigs, you're going to want... You're going to want to be somewhere between... The smallest I would personally go would be like an 1102. That's kind of pushing it, though. I would actually probably not go smaller than 1103. And then there's a lot of different propellers that you could run on an 85 millimeter rig, so sky's the limit, really. I mean, you could go all the way up to like a 1404 if you were running like a 5-blade 2-inch prop or something like that. So yeah, but first and foremost, get the word best out of your vocabulary. There's no such thing as best. There's just different. And each different rig, each different pilot, each different amount of weight that you're looking to carry on the rig, the goals for the builds, those things all play into what the right motors are. But yeah, there's never going to be a best because, you know, look, like I've spent an awful lot of time over the last 8 years building rigs that fly phenomenal and with the best gear on them. If I let somebody else fly one of these, they might hate it. And so that gear is absolutely not the best. It's arguably the worst for them, right? So there really is no best. There's just different, and then there's and then there's like right. You could use the word right. I think we want to kind of substitute the word right in for best. The word best gets thrown around so much, and it's like it just has this terrible kind of stigma nowadays with, like, you know, so many reviewers putting videos up every other day that say that the newest product with their affiliate link down below is the best product ever. So yeah, it's tough. No offense. I'm beginning to feel bad about when somebody asks me what the best is about something, for me kind of coming down on them a little bit too hard and being like, no such thing as best. But it's true, you know, and it's easy to think that you can go onto Facebook or onto YouTube and find the best of anything, but it's just not true 90% of the time. Every once in a while, we'll have a situation where, like, all of the TinyHawk AIOs suck balls, but then there's two of them that are decent, and you could say, like, these two are the best, right? Because everything else is awful. That used to be the case, right? With the 2G4 and the Beta FPV Cross, like, style, they were it. They were the only ones, and we could literally say, like, those are the best, because all the rest of them were trash. But nowadays, we've got the Mobula 6 2024 AIO, which seems pretty good. We've got the new Air 65 AIO, which seems pretty good. So yeah, things have kind of shifted a little bit. It's pretty uncommon that you've got a situation where, like, everything is trash and then there's one thing that's actually good. But it does happen every once in a while. Cloudhopper with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. He says, for the HDLRC Spectre Fund, I ordered 3 of them. Holy shit. My 33,000 kV 802 rewinds are hurting my 2G4 board, and I'm winding some 36,000 kV, so 802. I know I need 10 amp for them. Thank you, dude. How can you tell? Are you seeing what I saw when I did the when I was doing the spreadsheet, where when you fire them up in the motors tab, are you seeing the RPM go, like, way up and then immediately start decreasing down, like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6,000 RPM? Is that what you're seeing when you say that it's hurting the 2G4? Or are you starting to get, or when you've started running those motors, are you now starting to get desyncs that you weren't getting before? Those are two, for anybody taking notes, those are two of the ways that I've found that you can tell the motors are too much for the ESC or for the FETs or whatever you want to say. Which is interesting because, like, on 5-inch rigs in the past, when I've put too much power through the ESC, it just lets go. The ESC just explodes. It's interesting that, like, I think the deal is, if you ask the ESC for, like, a little bit too much, then it's just gonna, like, desync and fall out of the air, and that's, like, kind of your warning. I have a feeling that, like, with 5-inch stuff, I was asking it for way too much, and then it was just cooking one of the FETs. I also wonder, I'm going to tell you my suspicion, but I also wonder if every single time we ask the ESC, the FETs, for too much and they desync, I wonder if that hurts it a little bit and that doesn't go away. And then if you desync it again, it hurts it a little bit more. And you desync it again, it hurts it a little bit more, a little bit more. You know what I mean? I wonder if it builds up versus, like, it desyncs and then it's fine. It desyncs and then it's fine. My suspicion is that it builds up. My suspicion is that every single time you ask an ESC or the FETs, since they're doing the bulk of the work on an ESC, it feels like every time you ask him for too much, it hurts it a little bit, and then every single subsequent time you do that, it hurts it more and more and more, and you get close to it just completely letting go. That's what it has seemed in my experience in the past. I'm curious if anybody else has had that. Cloudhopper says yes, both static testing lower and difficulty restarting right after a hard run and starting a new battery pack. That's interesting. So that sounds like you run a battery and then you put the next battery on and the motors twitch and they won't start up. Is that what I'm hearing? Very cool feedback, brother. And again, thank you so much. There goes the HGLRC might not catch fire fund. I forgot that I did that. Man, I can be mean sometimes. It's for the right reasons, though, I think. You know? Like, if you're gonna make a whole bunch of products that don't work, basically, then people are gonna be mean to you. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV. If you do that, it'll light up an orange, like you can see here. See that? That's what happens. And you can do that with each other. If you type rock crawler with no space in between rock and crawler, for him, his name will light up an orange, just like this. That's how you get my attention. If you want to get my attention and support the insane task that is doing FPV full-time without being like one of the original 10 guys or having a whole bunch of money to throw at it initially when you get started, jump on over to CiottiFPV.com. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can support the insanity over there, or you can do a super chat like Cloudhopper very kindly did. Lots of different ways that you can keep this train rolling. You guys are the best. Patreon over on my the website. Etsy, you can buy yourself some fun stuff. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me. If you're like 6 months into the hobby and you want to overnight have the amount of knowledge as somebody that's like a year or even like a year and 6 months into the hobby, if we spend a half an hour or an hour together, I can just drop all the good stuff on you. I've been doing this for over 8 years, and I've been doing a lot of instructing, and I've really figured out how to boil a lot of this stuff down and break it up into like bite-sized chunks that you'll actually understand. So like if you want to understand PID tuning, if you understand the filtering, if you want to understand, yeah, all kinds of other shit that's super difficult to figure out in FPV, I can definitely help you out with that. And then there's a whole bunch of affiliate links over there as well. It's 2024, my friends. If you're not using affiliate links when you buy things on websites, you're doing bath salts. There's no reason not to. It doesn't affect you in any way. And I'm sure that you watch people on YouTube. Some of those people that you watch on YouTube, like myself, have affiliate links. It takes 14 seconds to change your bookmarks to the affiliate links or to get rid of your URL bar suggestions and hit somebody's affiliate link a couple times, and then your browser will think that when you type AMA for Amazon, you actually want to look at the nut grabber, and that's my affiliate link, and away you go. And you're supporting your favorite creators without even thinking about it. So do it! Well, hold on. Let me get caught up on chat, and then we're going to put this into Betaflight and get it set up. Hopefully get it set up. Rockcrawler says, hey, gangly gang, it's Ciotti. Apache Smoke says, good evening. How are you doing? I'm good, brother. How about you? I lied. I'm not good. I'm in a depressive spiral, but I'm here. I'm trying my best, you know. CH3 says, what's up? Cloudhopper says, I have two 2G4 Mobula 6s from BlackMarket, and I'm sad as they came with the Cadix Ant cameras, no more Runcam Nano 3. Yeah, that stinks. I had no idea that they did that. You're not the first person that said that. Somebody else told me that a few days ago. The Cadix Ant is like kind of my least favorite of the little tiny cameras. It's great outdoors, but Mobula 6 is not really an outdoor rig. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but keep those Cadix Ants and put them into an outdoor build and you'll love them. Zabluga says, what's up? Speaking of 2G4s, they are still available from happymodel. They have not been discontinued, as I was told they would be. So yeah, we can take a breath on the anxiety, on the 2G4 anxiety. WeBleedFPV, where I do have an affiliate link. WeBleedFPV has a ton of 2G4s in stock right now. They have a ton that if they're not in stock right now, they will be in stock. What the hell is that? Oh, no, it's fine. So, yeah. I think Pyrodrone still has some. I think GetFPV even has some. And now WeBleed has a whole bunch of them as well. So, yeah. It's good. The Mobula 6 2024 AIO, it's lighter, which is great. It doesn't have a plug for the camera, which is a little bit more annoying, but you shouldn't be changing cameras all that often. It does have plugs for the motors, which is awesome. My main worry with the 2024 AIO is that on the Mobula 6 2024, even on my upgraded one, there's a little bit of jello in like the mid throttle. I think it's a mid throttle oscillation. Here's what's weird though. I have one of those AIOs. I need to get this out anyway for mailbag. I forgot to put it in the title, but we're doing mailbag as well. I took one of those. It's not here. Here it is. I took one of the Mobula 6 2024s and put it into an RC drift car chase rig setup here. And the jello is gone. So, but the Mobula 6 2024 that I fully upgraded, changed the frame over to a Lite AF frame, changed the canopy to the old school Mobula 6 canopy, RunCam Nano 3 camera, ORT micro V antenna, BT 2.0, 180 degree. This, why do I smell dog piss? Is it me? I don't think it's me. Is it my beard? No? This one still has jello. I wish smell-o-vision was a thing so that you guys could tell me if you also smell dog piss. So yeah, I don't understand that at all. It makes absolutely no sense why the stock Mobula 6 2024 with the different canopy, the different frame, yada yada yada. It's got jello, and this one as a freestyle rig also has jello. I don't get it. I might have just figured it out. It could be the motors. There could be something about, the only thing that makes any sense, I'll put it this way, is that there's something about the 2024 AIO with the 2024 motors, the 702 28,000 kV motors, because those are the only two things that are left. I've changed the frame, I've changed the canopy, I've changed the camera, I've changed the antenna, right? The only thing that's left in this rig that still has a little bit of jello. Admittedly, it's not that bad. I don't even think everybody will notice it, but I do notice it. It's a little bit annoying. But the only thing that's left on this is the AIO and the motors, and for some reason there's that weird little bit of jello. This one, I've changed out all the same stuff, but I've also changed the motors to happymodel 0702 36,000 kV motors. And this guy doesn't have jello. That could be because of the camera mount. There could be something magical about the Batwing camera mount that's somehow eating the jello. I doubt it, but you never know. But yeah, there you go. I don't understand that, but I've heard from Hey, a bunch of you guys have the Mobula 6 2024s. Are you seeing that jello at like 50-60% throttle? Have you not noticed it? Have you noticed it? Have you noticed it and not been able to fix it? Tell me. Tell me what's happening. So yeah, the 2G4 to me, also the Mobula 6 2024 AIO, it doesn't seem like it's as durable. That's super hard to tell. It's super, super, super hard. And like, as soon as we say that anything seems like anything else, the credibility kind of goes out the window. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. But, yeah. Zabluga says, what's up? Brent Anderson says, I was just about to ask if HDLRC already blew up. Zabluga says, what can cause flyaway? I changed motors on my Mobula 8, and I have to back up PID tune basically to default. Otherwise, I encounter flyaway. Any idea what happened? By the way, I put the same motors on Beta FPV. If you change motors, and you change nothing else, and you're having flyaways, the motors are the problem. Maybe you can fix it in the software. Maybe you can't. Maybe the motors that you put on are out of balance from the factory, and you could sort of fix that, but you're going to have to wreck the flight performance in order to fix it. Motors that are out of balance out of the box for micros are more common than you would think. It's very difficult to balance micro motors, so some of the manufacturers don't even bother. Some of them do bother, but they do a shitty job at it. If the motors are out of balance, then what you're going to have to do is literally cripple the flight performance. You're going to have to add filtering and remove PID gains, which is going to wreck the way that it flies currently. If the motors that you're putting on make a bunch of extra power, that extra power will give you a little bit better flight performance, so it might offset a little bit of the destroying that you're going to have to do in the software of the flight performance, but typically it's going to perform worse than where you previously had it. Because where you previously had it, in theory, is a set of motors that are well balanced because you were able to push the PID tune and pull the filters down more than the new motors that you put on, right? That's not 100%. That doesn't happen 100% of the time, though. If the new motors that you're putting on are more powerful and they're just as well balanced, if you had your PID tune pushed to the point where it was very aggressive, and you also had your filters pulled down, you shouldn't have to change the filtering, but you might have to change the PIDs. When you push the PIDs up to be more aggressive, it reduces the amount of timing between when the gyro sees something bad happen, basically the rig go off of set point and not do what you're telling it to do on the sticks. So you've got the sticks centered. You're telling it that you want the sticks to be, that you want it to be just cruising along perfectly level. The wind hits it. That pushes it off set point. As soon as it goes off set point, the more aggressive the PIDs are, the quicker they will try to fix that to get it back to where it belongs. So if you've pushed those PID values up to the point where they're very aggressive on a set of motors that are kind of weak, and then you put a more powerful set of motors on that have more grunt and can spin that propeller up faster to attack that bad behavior, now with the aggressive PIDs and the more aggressive motors, you've gone too far, and it can oscillate because it's overcorrecting, because there's a mismatch between the power of the motors and how far you've pushed the PID tune. So that could be the problem there as well. So the motors might be fine. If they're way more powerful, you might just need to back your PIDs off, but you shouldn't need to change the filtering unless the new motors are more are balanced worse than the motors that you pulled off. And so, yeah, if they're more powerful motors, start pulling the PIDs down. If you pull the PIDs all the way down to the point where they're at 1.0 and the thing is still flying away, the motors are worse balanced. And the motors are basically like out of balance, or the propellers, could be the props. Put fresh propellers on, try a different type of, a different brand or a different type of propeller to kind of confirm that. But yeah, if you put new motors on, you pull the PIDs all the way down to defaults, 1.0 top to bottom, and it's still not acting right, the new motors that you put on are probably not balanced. You can, at that point, start to add more and more and more filtering. Actually, it would be this way to add filtering. I wouldn't recommend that, though. I would recommend throwing those motors in the river and finding another manufacturer of a similar motor that is balanced. Because, like, if you buy a 1002 22,000 from, I don't know, let's pick on HGLRC, and you have all these problems, you can probably snag a set of 1002 22,000s from RC and Power that don't have that problem. I've run those motors. The Flywoo motors, too. They're very well balanced. So, yeah. There's sort of like the full story behind that. Hopefully that helps, my friends. I'm going to put one more 300 mAh battery on here. That one doesn't have any marker on it. All right, we've got batteries charged. We're going to be able to fly. Cloudhopper, thanks again for the super chat, my friend. Kevin James with a $20 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, happy Sunday to you and your family. Thanks for teaching us 4 times a week. You're certainly welcome, man. Thank you for appreciating that enough to donate to the insanity. Thank you, brother. Very cool. Very, very cool. Cloudhopper also says, exactly, new battery. The motors twitch for a few tries before then running. Yo! I never thought of that. I never expected. I never thought of that. That is a really good call. Either the motors are getting too hot or the FETs are getting too hot. Very recently is the first time I've ever seen weird performance on the FETs. Cloudhopper, are you? I think you said yes to this, but just to be totally clear. Are you also seeing the weird shit that I was seeing where I would ramp the motor up to 100%, it would give me a big high RPM, and then it would back down, it would, not slowly, it would pretty quickly drop down 3, 4, 5,000 RPM? Are you also seeing that behavior? I want to make sure that that wasn't just like a fluke or like one weird channel or something like that. Super interesting. Super interesting. I've never thought about it enough to notice motors twitching after I'd run a battery. But running a battery, flying the rig, and then running another battery, and all of a sudden the motors twitch. I've never connected those two things. I've never connected heat in the FETs or the motors relating to that. It absolutely makes sense, 100%. And that also sounds like FETs that are on their way out, right? But maybe not. Maybe it's just us asking too much from the FETs. We've developed motor development in Tiny Whoops has been insane over the last year or two. ESC development has been non-existent. The 2G4, like the best AIO that I've ever found, is like 3 years old, right? And I think that's mainly because the 5 amp FETs are way smaller than 10 or 12 amp FETs. And so, yeah, super interesting stuff. Thank you for that feedback, brother. Super helpful. Rockcrawler says, sorry to hear you're going through it. It's all good, man. This is my life. Just a thought that I use. Try making a gratitude list a day. It may help. Man, I've tried a lot of stuff. I've struggled with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder for my whole life, 43 years, and I've tried an awful lot of stuff. I'm 6 or 7 talk therapists deep. Uh, yeah, lots of stuff. Lots and lots and lots of stuff. Some things help, some things don't. When it comes and gets me, it comes and gets me. There's not a whole lot that actually helps, other than just waiting, which is one of the most frustrating things about mental illness, is that, like, a lot of time, like, the cycle for me has been, like, try a new thing, seems to work for a little bit, stops working. As it stops working, I'll stubbornly keep doing it, but then eventually it's like, this is a fucking waste of my time, and I'll stop doing it, and then I'll try something else. So yeah, unfortunately that tends to be the difference between like folks that actually have mental illness and folks that go through some shit. You know, like, people that don't have mental illness, they go through something traumatic or horrible, and they will feel, you know, a sense of depression for a while, and that sucks. But then they'll typically kind of bounce back out of that, and they'll be fine. Mental illness is typically based in, like, an imbalance of brain chemistry, and unfortunately, outside of prescription meds, there's like no solution to that. It's all like band-aids. You're putting band-aids on top of band-aids on top of band-aids on top of band-aids. Which is why, you know, you hear it described as a disease. It really is. It is a disease. It is, you know, heart disease. It is whatever. Insert name of disease here. It's something that you live with and you cope with as best you can. And unfortunately, it's a disease that kills a lot of men, to be really honest. Yeah, that's how bad it is for some folks, and it's rough, but you need to respect that. You know, that's something that not a lot of people talk about, and I probably shouldn't talk about, but I don't care. I would rather say that shit and then get a message from someone that's like, dude, thank you for saying that. Nobody says it, and it makes me feel like I'm all alone, than to not say it and perpetuate that. So yeah. Algorithm be damned. Success of this channel and my career be damned. I would rather leave a good. I would rather leave some kind of a mark on this planet and have a less successful YouTube channel, and have actually helped someone in their life rather than just help them troubleshoot their twitching motor, than have a more successful whatever. So it is what it is. As I finish saying that, I see a comment from Super Lux that says, I peed in the corner last night, sorry. When I was in college, back when I had the ability to drink without my stomach losing its just exploding, there was a point where, and this was when I would drink heavily at home. This is when I was experimenting with what it's like to drink a lot, basically. I waited until I was either 21 or 22 years old to actually start drinking. And so, you know, I had to make up for lost time. Like, in my bedroom, basically, like, if I would have gotten out of bed and, like, go, like, turn 90-degree right turn and then go, like, 10 steps to the right, that was the bathroom where you go to pee. If you get up and you turn 90 degrees to the left and take 10 steps, that was my desk. That was my computer desk. One morning, I woke up and I had pissed all over the floor in front of my computer desk. I was like, I think I don't remember. I assume that's what's happened. That's what happened. I guess it could have been cat pee, but there were just, the cat wasn't peeing on the carpet at the time. He was good about using his litter box. So to the best that I can, or it could have been someone else's pee. Someone else could have come into my room and peed on my floor. I don't know, and I'll never know. But, you know, I blame myself. And now you guys know more about me than you should. What? Hold on, YouTube just did the thing. Off Axis with a 3 Canadian Californian dollar super chat. Thank you, homie. And then Levster with a 2-pound super chat. He says, thanks for everything you do. Thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Very cool, you guys. Willie FPV says, this is me first time on your live. I bought Air 65 from Pavel Spakowski. What's your opinion regarding 2S quads without ducks? I love it. DUCKS. Which one is the best? In my opinion, Crux 3, especially with HD0. I actually don't like hardly any of the basically smaller than full-sized, like 4S school bus style ripper micros. Mainly because they don't have the power to push like a blade of grass out of the way, and I just get so tired having to take the walk of shame over and over and over again to just pick the thing up and put it right side up on an area that doesn't have tall grass, to have one blade sticking through the propeller and it not being able to push it out of the way. So yeah, I'm unfortunately really not the guy to ask about ductless rigs, because it's just they just suck. The whole experience of flying them just sucks for me. There are people that don't crash as often as I do, and for those folks, they're a lot better. But I don't know, man. The 75 millimeter Tiny Whoops 1S and 2S fly awful good outside. Like if you're looking for something to fly outside of your house, front yard, backyard, I totally see the allure of toothpick style rigs, 3-inch, 2.5-inch, 2-inch, whatever. But man, the drawbacks are unbelievable. It's really cool that they're more efficient than these, and that they are faster, but a lot of times they're too fast for that sort of environment, and what you'll end up doing is just throwing it over the big tree in your front yard over and over and over and over and over again. Like, you just keep doing the same like big move. Whereas with a tiny whoop outside, if you can wrap your head around it, shrink your flying down in the same way that you do inside the house, and start looking for the little tiny gaps that are this big in between bushes, in between your house and the bushes, in between the branches of that tree, right? And that will give you a lot more to do, and it'll also make you a much better pilot. Like, that's much more difficult than just hammering the throttle in clear air and then just whee, I'm up in the clouds, and then you come 5 feet off the ground, you fly down your driveway, you fly around the back of the house, and you hammer it again, you go flying up in the air and whee. Like, that doesn't really make you a better pilot. Like, it's fun, don't get me wrong, and like, that's a big part of it, and to some extent, like, whatever makes you smile, do it. But it's also really fun to get good and to be able to shoot those tiny little gaps, because you can still just fly down the driveway and hammer it and fling it into the clouds. You can do that if you suck. You can do that if you're great. Whatever. But like, yeah, there's more there, and giving yourself more and getting better as a pilot, it'll also stave off like the burnout that will come for sure. And so yeah, I'm a big proponent of kind of pushing that. And the guards around the propellers do a really good job of keeping the blades of grass out of this area. You'll still get it for sure. You will still have a tiny whoop that you fly outside that you have to do the walk of shame. But man, will you have to do that walk of shame a lot less. And so yeah, I've become a much bigger fan. I have not been a fan of the toothpick style build in many years, probably about 5 years now. For a long time, I said on these live streams, like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to fly whoops outside, and I was pretty wrong about that. I still get very annoyed by a blade of grass making this thing so that I can't turtle mode it back over or take it back off. But I'm starting to see the light now that we have. In fairness to myself, back when I would say that a lot was back before we had motors that made sense to give these 75 millimeter rigs primarily enough power to actually fly outside in a way that was fun. We had motors and props that were so mismatched that flying these things outside it just sucked. There wasn't enough power to do any like three-dimensional moves on like the up and down axis, so you were just flying it around like this, and then like the response time was so bad because the motors and propellers were so mismatched that like the PID tune felt like shit. And then so like if you tried to shoot these little gaps, the response time wasn't there, and you would end up like crashing, and then you'd have to take the walk of shame again. Right, so like it's not until like pretty recently, man, like probably within the last year, that we've gotten some motors and some propellers that are good enough to make these things really, really kind of come alive, and they are now fun to fly outside. So yeah, there's that. Quad66, I'm typing it into chat. QUAD66 is an awesome pilot here on YouTube. He hasn't put anything up in a while, but if you go a couple of months back, he's got like a year where he put up phenomenal content about 2-inch, 2.5-inch, 3-inch, 1S, 2S, maybe even some 3S rigs. What's the good AIO? What's the good motor prop combo? What are some of the best frames? He typically flies his own frame, but who cares? Get his frame. And so, yeah, check Quad66 out. He's got some really, really good stuff going on over his channel. Tell him I sent you. Smoking Dog Cujo says, is the Runcam Nano 4 the replacement for the Nano 3? I don't think so. I have not looked at the Nano 4 in a long time, though, so let me take a quick look. Runcam Nano 4. Ah, right, that one. I guess kinda. I'll bet you that Runcam considers it to be the replacement. I personally don't consider it to be the replacement. It's way heavier, mainly because of the giant lens. It's also heavier because of these brass inserts here. So yeah, I'm sure it's a totally fine camera. It's probably a better camera than the Nano 3, but significantly heavier. 2.9 grams versus 1.1. Jesus Christ. It's fucking 3 times as heavy. Jesus. In fairness, pretty much all of these cameras with this giant lens are 2-point-something grams. The Runcam Nano 3. Here you go. Ready? The Runcam Nano 3 is the best TinyWhoop freestyle camera because of the weight. The end. It is so light and weight matters so much on TinyWhoops that it's the best. You could absolutely argue that and you wouldn't be wrong. But this is kind of one of those scenarios where, yeah, we kind of do have something that is the best. But again, that's still opinion-based. Some of the other cameras look better. And, yeah, sometimes it's nice to be able to see where you're going. Sometimes, not all the times. I want to weigh the Beta FPV CO3. Here it is. I think this is the CO3. There's a chance that it's not, but this is a Beta FPV camera, and they tend to be pretty lightweight. And I know a lot of people like the CO3. Oh wow, that's how's it that light? 1.43 grams. Maybe that's why people like the CO3 because it's really lightweight. I thought it was something about the image, and I thought people were high. Unfortunately, the new Beta FPV camera is significantly bigger that they put in the Air 65, and I assume that it's also heavier. I have one. It was in a box that was right there. Where the hell did that box go? Oh, it's over here. Hold on. Oh, well, wait. No. Maybe that's the CO2 camera. This is the CO3 camera. The CO3 camera, this is the one that comes in the Air 65. The CO3 camera is 1.46 grams. So I don't know what that other camera is, but man, is that light. This is pretty light too. I'll be damned. The lens does look a little bit smaller. Huh, not bad. I have another couple cameras here. I thought they were all 2-point-something grams. Which one's this? This is the new FXT, the Mobula 6 2024 camera. This one's 1.89 grams. Yeah, okay. All right, so there are some, but still, 1.89 grams, 1.5 grams versus 1.1. Like, that's real. In the world of tiny whoops, that is a real difference. The other thing that I really like about the Runcam Nano 3 is that it's one of the few cameras that you can actually run in the old school Mobula 6 canopy, which is my favorite canopy. This camera is 1.6 grams. What's this, a Newbie Drone BI? Pretty sure this is oh no, this is you can't even get this camera anymore. It's an old 199. Here's a Runcam 3 Nano. Let me check that weight. 1.3 grams. It's got the little sticker on the back. And maybe this cable's a little bit longer? I don't know. Is this a BI? I think this is a BI. Pretty sure this is a BI camera. 1.86. So they're closer than I thought. But like I said, the Runcam Nano 3 works with the old school Mobula 6 canopy, and I really like this canopy. Some people don't. A lot of people I turn on to this canopy, though, are into it. So, yeah, I don't know. Light, strong. It's good. Hold on. Get in there. For the record, I don't like the way that this CO3 camera looks. It adjusts the white balance like really aggressively, like too aggressively, and that's my main complaint about it. Zabluga says motors are 1103, 11,000 kV, and I put same but new ones on. So yeah, the new motors are out of balance. Then if you put the same motors on, and all hell's now breaking loose. Put the old motors back on to make sure that when you were switching motors, you didn't screw something up. If the old motors make the rig okay again, then yeah, those new motors are out of balance, unfortunately. You can test them one at a time. Go into the motors tab, spin each individual motor up while you're holding the rig, and you might feel that one of the motors is drastically out of balance, and that just take that motor and throw it in the goddamn river. But yeah, that's what you got going on. Cloudhopper says, when I changed my 65mm light rig to 26,000 kV to Tiny Whoop Moon Travelers, I got the described flyaway. I had moved the PIDs up for the 26,000 kV. I just had to back off the PIDs, no filter change. Yep, that's how it works. When you go drastically up in kV, the motors will more quickly speed up, not slow down. I don't think the kV affects the motor braking. That is based on nothing, though. That is just a gut feeling, which means nothing. So yeah, I don't know if I have no idea. But yeah, it changes how quickly the motors can spin up, and that's better response time, and that's basically what you're changing with PIDs. When you make PIDs more aggressive, you're artificially improving the response time. Willie FPV says, why do you prefer Runcam Nano over the example Cadix Ant Lite? Picture is that good, or weight is the most important? Weight's the most important, but the Cadix Ant Lite is horrible in low light. And when you're flying inside the house, a lot of times you'll have situations where there's low light. And so yeah, the weight / size and then the low light performance are a total deal breaker for the Cadix Ant Lite for me. Outside, it's fine though. Minos133 says, what motor size and kV would you recommend for the TinyHawk Freestyle 3? I don't know if you saw it, but yeah, the last live stream or the one before that, I talked a lot about the TinyHawk Freestyle 3. Emax very kindly sent me one a while ago, and it took me a bit, but I got it up. You're not really going to be able to change the motors, though, because they use a specific motor mounting pattern here. I think. They usually do that. Hold on. Let me try to confirm that for you, just to be sure. Oh, wait. Right in front of me. Oh, well, this is going to be 12 by 12. No, I need a motor that's 9 by 9. Hold on. I got one right here. Yeah, here we go. So this is a 9 by 9 motor, and oh no, okay. Have they finally come to their senses? Nah, still looks a little bit small. Check it out. If you've got a 9 by 9 mount motor floating around, take one of your motors off and see if it'll bolt up. In the past, Emax has gone out of their way to have motors made with a specific mount pattern so that you had to get their replacement motors. So you might not be able to switch the motors over. If you are able to switch the motors over, it's going to depend on what you want out of the rig. If you want a super lightweight, super efficient kind of setup, I would maybe leave these motors on and get them onto these HQ bi-blades. These things wake this thing up. If you're desperate to change them, I would maybe go to, so the motors that it comes with are 1202 and a half, 7,000 kV. I would go to like maybe a 1203. If you want something that's really powerful, you're going to want to look at like a 1303, but mainly you're just going to want more kV. You could do like a 1203 or a 1303, but get the kV going. Like, so 7,000 kV doesn't make nearly enough power, so go like 8,000 or 9,000 or even 10,000. Christ, if you can find it, 11 or 12,000, because you can just motor limit them down. So yeah, the main problem with these motors is the kV is too low. If you could find a 1202 and a half that was 10,000 kV, it would make a huge difference. So yeah, that'll give you some idea. It depends on what you're looking for, though. Like I said, which direction you go with the motors on this thing. But the first thing that you should do, if you haven't already, is get those goddamn Emax Rush 2.5-inch propellers off. Those are great propellers, but those are great propellers for a big old motor. 1404, 1306, 1305, 1505, something like that. Those Emax Rush propellers are way too heavy and draggy for a 1202 and a half motor. So get some bi-blades on there, get some 2.5-inch bi-blades on there, and that'll wake the performance of that thing way up. Cool? You will not believe the difference. Hang on. I didn't fly that thing because it wasn't sitting on the coffee table. The coffee table has become like my on-deck circle for anything that I want to fly during the day before live streams. Cloudhopper says, yes, it's asking too much from 5 amp FETs. Yeah. Bad says, I was just about to order the AIO for my new 0802 33,000 kV rig. Was going to go Super X V2, but might delay for the verdict on the HDLRC 10 amp as prices are comparable in the UK. Yeah, it's interesting, man. 802 33,000s, depending on what propeller you put on them, seem to be sort of like the limit for 5 amp FETs. It'll still run on the 5 amp FETs, but you're pushing them absolutely to their limit. And so you're going to want to run the lightest, least draggy propeller that you want, that you can rather, which is kind of what you would do on a 75mm rig anyway. You would go with like the HQ 1.6-inch ultralights or the Gemfan 1610s. But yeah, you're going to be pushing a 5 amp FET to its absolute limit. Brent Anderson says, ever looked into into or drone floating. What? Or done floating, not drone floating. No, but sensory deprivation stuff is a nightmare for me. Would be a nightmare for me. My brain is way too loud. For example, I have a really hard time sleeping without like the TV or a podcast or something on, because the obtrusive thoughts are a lot. Always have been. So yeah, sensory deprivation would not really work for me. Meditation worked pretty well. I miss having a daily meditation practice. I'm just in a phase of my life where I don't have the time, but I need to make the time. Is the really frustrating thing, because when you have like a strong meditation and or yoga practice, your brain and your body just work better for the other 23 hours in the day. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's really mentally difficult to set aside an entire hour of the day when you've just got pages and pages of things that need to get done. Pages and pages of lists of things that need to get done. So yeah, I don't know. Striker says, so you're saying antidepressants are like PID tuning a quad with shitty power that weighs a ton. Just trying to make things a little more lighthearted. I appreciate it, man. Antidepressants are tough. The side effects of antidepressants are brutal. Absolutely brutal. And I tried 2 years. I spent 2 years trying 6 or 7 different antidepressants, and in all cases, the side effects were worse than the positives. That is not everyone, though. This is not me trashing on antidepressants. For a lot of people, antidepressants are literal lifesavers. So yeah, this is if you have mental illness shit, you should try antidepressants. You should try whatever your psychiatrist tells you to try, because they're the person that that is actually qualified to make those decisions. For fuck's sake, do not see a commercial on YouTube for an antidepressant and then go try to get a subscription for it, a prescription for it rather. That is a horrible idea. In the entire rest of the world, running commercials and or just like advertising drugs, medicine, is illegal, because it is a horrible idea. Is one of the many things that is completely broken in this country. The fact that pharmaceutical companies, and it's one of the reasons that they're so rich, are allowed to put commercials out and let you basically self-diagnose. It's really, really bad. And also don't, like, I made a terrible mistake with my psychiatrist of saying, like, I do not want to try Wellbutrin. A friend of mine had a really bad experience on it. That means nothing. I wish that my psychiatrist had said, like, your friend having a bad experience on it means nothing for you. Instead they were just like, okay, there's lots of other things that we can try. But yeah, like, someone you know having a bad experience doesn't matter at all, because you're a different person than them. Your body is different, your brain is different, your life experiences have been different. So yeah, you need to go totally open-minded, and you need to find a psychiatrist that can juggle pills for you. They're called pill jugglers sometimes. And you need to be open-minded about the process. You need to give the pills time, right? You need to give them like 3 to 6 months typically, because it's changing your brain, literally changing your brain chemistry. And so, yeah, it's quite the process. But for some people, it drastically improves their lives. So it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Off axis with no, I already got these, right? Yeah. All right, cool. I'm getting caught up. Thanks again, Off Axis. Thanks again, Levster. Elias says, I saw the GNB A30 connector today, and to me it looks basically like VT 2.0. Yeah, that's what it is. What do you think about it? I think it's great that there's non-copyrighted. I kept thinking royalty-free. A non-copyrighted connector. But so there's nothing wrong with it. It's a BT 2.0. It's a black BT 2.0. That's it. Shortly after they came out with the A30, Beta FPV put out the 180 degree BT 2.0, which is just awesome. This is so much easier to grab a hold of. And so I run these on everything. If there was a 180 degree A30, I would do that for sure, because it will be black. And it would, you know, support non-copyrighted stuff, you know. But yeah, it's a black BT30. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Zach says, data point for the HDLRC AIO build as 2S, 75mm 0802, 19,000 kV motors, 3 batteries in. I crashed the AIO, shut down, and now it won't boot. Now it won't boot back up. Fun hobby. The fun hobby part is scathing, but well deserved. By the way, digital VTX grommets upside down help the USB clearance on the Mobula 7V4 frame. I used 220 grit sandpaper to take off the last few millimeters of the USB metal jacket. Nice. That's a solution. I don't like that solution. I don't like to add any stack height. It already feels like the double stack setup is way too tall. So yeah, for me, I go about that a different way. But yeah, that's totally a valid way of getting the USB to clear. Fufu Panda says, what's the ideal KV for 75mm 802, performance versus efficiency? Again, it depends. It depends on what you want. For me, personally, it's like either 27 or 30,000. And then if you want a little bit less, you can just motor limit it down. I'm totally happy with the iGao 802 27,000s though. That is like such an easy, just like get that motor and profit for a 75mm rig. So yeah, that's the easy answer. But I would always prefer a little bit more kV so that I can use the motor limiting. And so that brings us to 30,000 kV, which doesn't exist. But you can make it, as I have. But yeah. It's the best answer I can give you. Frank Nicholas says, you have PayPal mail. See if you can make the HDLRC carbon catch on fire. Thank you, dude. Where's my email? Email, where are you? There you are. Frank Nicholas filling up the HDLRC might not catch fire fund. Thank you, brother. $35. He says, HDLRC might not catch fire fund plus $5 for shipping. Thank you, brother. 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 80. There we go. Thank you, friend. What's our next fund, people? What do you guys want to see me test next? Very, very kind of you, my friend. And hold on. This reminds me to give a couple of Patreon shout outs. Oops. Hold on. Oh, that's a cool one. Nope. Where? Come on. I know it's in here somewhere. I know it's in here somewhere. Come on. I saved it. There it is. Paolo Fernandez, welcome to the gang of the gang, man. Thank you for jumping on board the Patreon. It makes a huge difference, and I really, really, really do appreciate it, man. Thank you. I think there might have been one more. I did get caught up on the Patreon, on the new patrons recently, though, so there might not be one more. Somebody join my Patreon so that there will be one more. Is that how you do it? Is it that easy? Is that the secret? There it is. Tibor, welcome to the Gangly Gang, Tibor. Thank you so much for hopping onto the Patreon. Much appreciated. I knew it. I knew there was another one. Oh, man. I was very lucky. I missed. All right, so this is gonna get a little car nerdy. There's a my favorite car related website is BlipShift, BLIPSHIFT. They make the coolest automotive shirts ever. The 2000 Mustang Cobra R is arguably my favorite car of all time. This car was released when I was like just first kind of, not really first getting into cars, but it was when I was really, really, really into cars. And it just ticked all the right boxes. Big RPM, great styling. But unfortunately they didn't make many of them. They were really expensive. In my autocross days, I actually got to drive one of these. And like usually like don't meet your heroes, don't drive your heroes. But this was not an example of that. It was awesome. It was a great example, really low miles. And it was just amazing. And when this shirt came, I do not have any shirts or artwork or anything with the Cobra R on it. And when this artwork came out, I missed it on BlipShift. I saw the email. So what BlipShift does is they take user submitted artwork and then they send everybody out an email and they say, hey, this is the shirt that we're doing. This is the artwork that we're doing for the next 24 hours. It might be 48 hours, 24 or 48 hours. And you come onto the website, you place your order, and then at the end of that 24, 48 hours, they have it printed. They have the posters printed. They have the shirts printed. And then so you end up waiting like 2 weeks, 3 weeks for your stuff, but who cares? I got the email for this artwork like 3 days after, so it was already gone. And I was pissed. This was a while ago. Every once in a while, BlipShift they go back and so they usually only do one shirt at a time. You can see here, ends in 7 hours 41 minutes, right? So I'd previously missed it, but then the other day they sent an email. They said, hey, we're bringing back our 4 most popular Mustang shirts, snake times horse sale, and I managed to grab it, and I'm very happy about that. And I didn't get a shirt though. I got a poster, a little 12 by 18 poster. I have a couple of them floating around the apartment. There's one right there with a second generation Miata that is built very similar to where I would love mine to be at some point. Basically just, it's mine, but with a front splitter and an APR DTC wing. And there's a couple more floating around. There's a Breaking Bad one over there, but like breaking as in BRAKING. So yeah, there you guys go. If you're into cars and you're not subscribed to BlipShift, don't get mad at me when you've spent $300 on their website. It's your own fault. You're responsible for your own spending. Just because someone told you about it doesn't mean you can blame that person. That's what's going to happen. They have really cool shit. Fair fucking warning. Don't subscribe. If you're into cars, do not subscribe to them unless you are willing to spend some money. If you're broke right now, don't subscribe to them. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you've been warned. Their artwork is amazing. They have a lot of people that submit artwork, so they have a lot of really cool artwork to choose from. And like cars as a hobby is like giant. So there's a huge talent pool of graphic designers that are, I'm sure, submitting artwork all the time. So yeah, there you go. Oh my God, an email from Vimeo. Jesus. That's ridiculous. All right. Thank you for the feedback on the HDLRC Spectre. Hopefully mine lasts longer. I just want to get caught up on chat before we dive into this. So hold on, let's keep going. Striker says, honestly, the Pinch is an incredible cam. Yeah, the Tiny Whoop Pinch cam is great. It's based on the Foxier. Shit, I forget. Razor. Foxier Pico Razor, I believe it is. And yeah, it's a great camera. A little bit heavy, but it's a great camera. Swiggadog Cujo says, what other camera fits in the Mobula 6 canopy? The Mobula 6 2024 camera, which is the FXT08 or something. But yeah, it's just the Mobula 6 2024 camera. You might be able to find it for sale somewhere. Geronimus, that's a fun YouTube name. Says, how would the happymodel 1103 11,000 kV motors be on the TinyHawk? Probably really good. Stator volume should be comparable to 1202.5. Yeah, probably really good. Here's a really, hold on. Here's a really good link for you guys. There you go. This is super handy. Hold on, I just realized that my bookmark is automatically like pre-populating a couple of different motors, and there's no reason for that. So 1103, and then 1202.5. So 1103 is, yeah, it's pretty much the same. It's got less. 1103 has less surface area, but the main thing seems to really kind of be the volume. But I mean, here actually the main thing between those two motors is going to be that the 1103s are. Where's the question? The 1103s are 11,000 kV, and the 1202.5s are 7,000 kV. So those 1103s are going to make a significant amount of extra power because of that extra kV, and that shouldn't be too high of a kV. If it is, you can just motor limit it down a little bit. So yeah, those 1103s are going to give you wildly better performance than the 1202.5s, mainly because of the kV difference. Also, 1103, 3, 6, 9, 12, pretty close to 11. So the 1103 is roughly 4-to-1 ratio of width to height, which is really good. The 1202.5, 2.5 by 12, so 2.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, pretty close to 12. That is closer to 5-to-1 width to height. That's a bit much. That's like Cinewhoop territory, where you're like a big wide motor like that. It's really good for carrying a heavy payload. The TinyHawk is not a rig that's carrying a heavy payload. If you were planning on putting like a Runcam Thumb or a Cadix Peanut or an Insta360 Go 2 or 3 onto it, then the 1202.5 would make more sense because it's wider and it's going to stay cooler. Unfortunately, the fact that it's only 7,000 kV is going to limit the hell out of it. It's not going to have the power to pick up a heavy payload. But that motor size would be better suited, see what I'm saying, to carrying a heavier payload than the 1103. But a 4-to-1 width to height ratio is actually fine. That's plenty. The motors that I run on my Cinewhoops are 2104. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, basically 5-to-1. It's one of the reasons those motors work so well. So yeah, there you go. Ramdanko says, cycling is fun and pleasant, but still don't fet around to it. But still, I don't fet around to it. Get around to it. Was that on purpose? Was that the dad ESC joke? Brent Anderson says... or it was the dad joke the round because it's cycling. Brent Anderson says, don't have to go dark, leave mood light on and bring your own music, but I'm an advocate for floating. It has done me very well. Residual 3-day effect. Very cool. After Effects. Interesting. I haven't seen it around here really anywhere. I've seen it like in certain malls before, but I'm sure if I looked I could find it. Walter says, for me the flying is the escape meditation like motor riving, motor driving, I think he meant to type. Swiggadog Cujo says, what other, we got that. Mino says, yes, I bought the props you recommended for the Emax Freestyle. There is GTS and Flywoo 1202.5. Oh, wow. 11,500 or 11,300, 11,000. Yeah. I don't think you can go wrong with either of those motors. 1103, 11,000 or 1202.5, 11,500. I don't think there's going to be much of a difference between those two motors. So get whichever ones are cheaper, or even better, the color that you like the best. Harry Bennett with a £4.99 super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, what batteries did you recommend for the Mobula 6, and how many? Also, what balance boards to go on my ISDT V2? I guess that's the best way to charge. I really like these little... hold on, these batteries are all done. 65 millimeter Tiny Whoops only have a battery bay that can carry these thin batteries, and there are like 80 different not 80, but there are a bunch of different companies that make these folded cell 300 mAh BT 2.0 batteries. They're all exactly the same, so just get these. Yeah, these are the only batteries that like anybody is running on Tiny Whoops right now, because they're so much better than all the other batteries. If the rig is light enough, you could maybe get away with like the new 260s, but the 300s are so good, you should start with those and then play around from there. What I prefer for charging Tiny Whoop batteries are these little ViFly Whoopster boards. You could power them from XT60 or USB or barrel plug. 1, 2, 3. These things are awesome. This is what you want. There's now a version 3 of this. It's not really like significantly better. If you find the V2 cheap, just snag it. But yeah, the ViFly Whoopster is the way to go. You can probably even, I'm sure you can figure out a way to power it from your big boy charger, but with the USB input, you can just charge it from a little brick, like a cell phone charging brick. And it's USB-C, so you probably already have a USB-C cord near your desk that is getting... It's going to have to be... like, it won't work like powered off the USB from your computer, but if you have a brick, like a 2-watt brick or something, I forget what the actual designation is, but yeah, you'll find something that'll power it all the way up. And then it's got the XT60, so what's really cool about it is you can bring it with you, charge up a couple 5-inch batteries, bring those with you, or 3-inch batteries, whatever, and you can charge a bunch of Tiny Whoop batteries, right? If you have like a 4S850, that will charge at least 8 300 mAh Tiny Whoop batteries. So there you go. That's the best way to charge, in my opinion. Thank you for the support, Henry. Very cool of you. Kinetic says, I've been having issues with the motor soldering on my Mobula 6 2024. The wires seem to just fall off the pads and the motors. Anything I can do? You got to resolder them, and you got to do it right. And that is my main complaint about direct soldered motors, is exactly that happens. I have much better luck with motor plugs. I have heard from people that have had the exact opposite experience. I don't know. I can't go off of other people's experiences. I can only go off my own. And I've had way better luck with the plugs than the direct soldered motors. Ramdongo says, the pink AIO, test that 40 amp. I don't know what that means. What's the pink AIO? Bad says, Newbie Drone build fun maybe, or are you just not a fan? I'm actually a huge fan of Newbie Drone. I talk to one of their main guys, Kelvin, all the time. I don't run much of their stuff because it's not as good as some of the other stuff that's out of there. Newbie Drone, the new B in Newbie Drone refers to new pilots. And their stuff is geared towards that. Their stuff is geared towards new pilots, and I'm not a new pilot. So it's just not necessarily up my alley. But they have made and will in the future make some of the best stuff that's available. So yeah, the main gripe that I have with Newbie Drone is their OSD. They have a different OSD setup so that they don't have to use the giant OSD chips that everybody else does. And it's just not as clear. OSD is a layer that it's putting on the video, and the Newbie Drone OSD layer is not as clear as the giant old school OSD chips layer that it's putting on. So yeah. Striker says, what do you think makes more power, VCI 0802 2.8 or Hex 33,000 kV 802s? I don't even need to think about what makes more power. I know what makes more power because of the testing that I did. And just in case anybody doesn't believe me, I can show it to you. So we've got the 802 33,000 kV here, and we're going to compare that to the 080 2.8, and you're going to see the 080 2.8 is making 56,000 RPM to the 0802's 52,000 RPM on a 1610 biblade. And then if you come down here to a 1210 prop, they're actually even, 70,000 for both. But you wouldn't really run those motors on a 1210 prop. Those are more of a 75 millimeter motor. Can you run them on? Yeah, of course. But yeah, those are more of a 75 mil motor, in my opinion. So yeah, there you go. And then in the air, that's going to be a little bit different, right? That's a loaded test where I'm holding onto the rig and it can't go anywhere to get any incoming air, which makes the motor's job a little bit harder. But yeah, the 802.8 is an incredibly powerful motor. Neither one of which they can either be run on a 5 amp FET, but they shouldn't. If possible, you want them on more than a 5 amp FET is the end of the question. Striker also asks, also, what do you have for the prop motor combo on 3-inch? I love the HQ 3x2x3s. I'm not familiar with a 3x2x3. I only know that 3x3x3s. This particular rig is getting a 1505 3800 kV, and then I'm going to play around with props. None of the props are really going to be... we'll talk more about it when I start flying it, but yeah, I'm going to play around with a bunch of different props. J. Drone says, hope you're good. Have you seen Basic Ollie's videos? Yeah, Ollie's awesome. He started to race Ford Ka's in real life. No way. I never subscribed to Ollie, but I am going to now because Ford Ka's are awesome. Ford Ka's are somewhat similar to Mazda 2s. No shit. Look at Basic Ollie doing real motorsport. Good for you. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in. Thank you for the heads up on that. I will get caught up. Spunka Dog Cujo says, have you tried weed? No comment. Walter Van Den Ord says, due to situation, I lost my SLK 320. Now I have the same in 1/10 scale. I thought I would like it, but I put it away. Toke antidepressant pills. That is one of the most all over the place chat comments I've ever read. There's like 4 things going on in there. Striker says, do you think 1204 would work well on a mid-weight 2.5 inch? Yes, that's probably about the perfect motor for that. What even is the equivalent weight for a 2.5 to be similar to... Oh, I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure. There's calculators, though. Just type that question into Google, and it'll hit you with a calculator that'll do it. Frank Nicholas says, the ViFly charger will offer full power from a Mac. No way. Oh. Really? I mean, we could test it incredibly easily. I've never actually done it. I just assumed. That is amazing. Although this cable is plugged into a hub. This cable is plugged into a USB hub, so this won't be a proper test of that. That's pretty impressive, though, that Mac is putting it. Yeah, see, attached to this hub, it's not getting enough jam. That's super impressive, though, that Macs will output enough to get that up to full stank. That's awesome. A lot of Frank also says a lot of Windows-based systems do not offer USB-C PD support to power it fully. Nice, dude. Thank you. That's really good to know. Striker says HQ 3x2x3 are much newer than the 333s. Seem to perform better in terms of durability, but they need high KV. And then Walter says, do you know Eckhart Tolle? He did eye openers for me. Yeah, Eckhart Tolle has some really, really good stuff. His podcast is brilliant. And then Striker says, main advantage is the newer design. Lower pitch can also be seen as an advantage. HQ 3x2x3. I'll be damned. Oh, yeah. Wait. Is there also a 2.5? There is. Yeah, the 2.5 is the one that I'm familiar with. This is actually a propeller that for a long time was out of balance right out of the pack. And then at some point I got a set of these that were balanced. So I don't really know. But yeah, I did not know that there was a 3x2x3. But yeah, two inches of pitch, which is what the second number stands for. That's a little bit low. You're gonna have to spin the living shit out of those to get any power out of them. And then a lot of times when the propellers go really low pitch like that, they lose a lot of their durability. With the low pitch, they tend to make them lighter weight, and then they're too fragile. Jacob Russell says, Baby Ratel 2 or Ant Nano Lite for the Mobula 7. Do a couple of YouTube searches for those, and then you'll see reviews of them with flight footage, and then and then that's how you decide. I don't know either one of those. I know that I don't like the Cadix Ant, but yeah, I mean, the Runcam Nano 3 is a unique choice because it's so incredibly lightweight, and it works in the Mobula 6 old school canopy. Outside of that camera, the rest of them are kind of all the same to me. Once they go through the analog VTX, they all kind of look like ass anyway, so it really doesn't matter all that much in my opinion. But there's no, if you're trying to choose between two, there's no reason to not look up a couple reviews and say, you know, that one's too bright, because a lot of these cameras you can't really adjust. Even the ones that have adjustments, the adjustments don't really work all that well. So yeah, that's a camera choice is very personal preference. Ramdango says Axisflying Argus F7 AIO 40 amp may have a good use. Fully inspired this thought. I don't really do those bigger AIOs. I prefer to do like a 20x20 stack, like what we're doing in this build here. Really quickly, let's. Nope, we're gonna not do this. I don't have the time. We're gonna dive straight into this build. I was too long-winded with my chat answers, and I'll have to get this Spectre AIO going on my time, which is totally fine. Oh, wait, shit. Massive shout out to Custom FPV, who is Noah Pitzer. I didn't realize it was Noah. I've seen Noah on Instagram forever. Custom FPV is who makes these cases, these really awesome cases for TinyWhoop. And I kind of fell in love with them. I really like the way that they hold rigs. The quality is unbelievable. The layer thickness is super tight. Like, this is like a product that I could see on a store shelf. Usually with 3D printed stuff, it's like obvious that it's 3D printed. But this is like polished, man, finished, awesome, good quality shit. And so you can get them on TinyWhoop with the TinyWhoop logos on them, but Noah's making these, and you can just message him on Instagram like I did and say, hey, Noah, any chance you're willing to make custom ones with my logo on them? And he'll say, sure. And I actually okayed it with him. I said to him, like, hey, if a bunch of people message you about these, are you going to be pissed? Like, are you doing this just for me? And he's like, nah, man, send people over. It's totally fine. So yeah, if you want a custom TinyWhoop case, Noah will hook you up. It'll cost a little bit more, obviously, because you're paying for his time. But yeah, the print quality is amazing. So he did CiottiFPV inside and out, which is super cool. For the red and white one, we just stuck with that same logo. For the purple and white one, we did my old school logo on the top, and then he threw me some extra little things I'm going to do giveaways for. And then the new school logo on the bottom, just because, like, you know, the shape in here, it's kind of thin, so the new school logo fits the thin, and then the old one fits the bigger area. This is his other design, which is just two. But what I really like about this design is these little pouches for batteries. So you drop your, oh boy, this ought to be interesting, trying to do this through the OBS window. Hold on, let me just look down. There we go. So you fit two rigs in here, but then look at this. Batteries go in there and kind of stand up all nice like. I really don't need to show you this, but whatever, we're almost all the way there. And look at that. Put a bunch of batteries and little things, maybe like batteries in this one and then like a prop popper and some extra propellers and shit over there. I really dig that. The big ones, technically you've got like this center area that you can just dump batteries into, but they're gonna be like flopping all over the damn place and getting all tangled up with the quads, right? Like when you have these filled, like yeah, you've got that center area there, but yeah, they're gonna be bouncing all over the place. And usually, like, when you go out and fly, you don't really need 4. Like, 2 is kind of the right number, you know? Like, if you're going out to fly digital, you bring the 2 digital rigs and maybe 1 digital, 1 analog. You know, 2. I think 2 is the right number. I think more often than not, you're going to go out with 2 75s and 2 65s rather than 4 65s or 4 75s. So, yeah, these 2 are just going to be, like, here to keep shit organized. And then these other 2 are going to be the ones that like actually come with me when I go places. And yeah, again, being able to hold the batteries is super cool. So yeah, shout out to Custom FPV. Noah, thank you so much, man. And he threw in some very cool extra stuff, which are going to be included in giveaways. So even Noah is helping out with the ongoing effort of doing FPV full time, which is very cool. I really appreciate that. These are super rad. I did not expect that. Oh, look at that. There's his logo. Hell yeah. It says FPV real small. It's not going to come through. But at the end of that, it says FPV here. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Really, really cool stuff. Thank you, brother. Wait, no. I'm keeping these. These guys are being given away. Wait, no. Keeping 2 of them. You guys can have the rest, but I'm keeping 2. His print quality is something else, man. I asked him about his layers, his layer height, and he said it's 0.2 millimeter. I don't know what that means, but there you go. I don't know what that means yet. I'm going to learn what that means one of these days. Yeah, he threw in some blem lids when he was kind of getting things dialed in, which is pretty slick. So if anybody orders themselves some, I don't have anything to do with these. Well, no, this is the one that I'm going to keep. If you order your own cases from him and you want a CiottiFPV lid, blem lid, let me know. I'm probably going to keep one of each of these in case I break one of my lids. No, I'm not. I'll just ask him to reprint it if that ever happens. So yeah, if for some reason you want one of these white lids, let me know. But yeah, I just messaged him on Instagram and he said that's totally cool. So yeah, if you want your, or like if you want a custom color combination or something like that, right? Like you don't have to have a custom logo. If there's just a color combination that's not on Tiny Whoop's website, you can just message him and say, yo, can you put the Tiny Whoop logo, but then just do it in these wacky colors. He's got, the colors that I have are this shiny purple, the black. He now has this more matte purple again. And then he's got the red. This is that same matte purple. And the white, of course. So yeah, there you go. Keep your whoop safe, friends. All right. Yeah, let's hit the bench. Shit, man. I don't know if we're actually going to get to finish this, but we're going to at least finish the soldering on this. We're going to get all of the soldering done. And then if I have to screw in some screws off stream, that's not super interesting. Bad says, I have the 275 whoop case and I love it. Added bonus is my goggle batteries fit in the side slot too. That's pretty awesome. Ramzongo says, airports in a box. Nice. Striker says, worst case maybe slight motor limit in reference to, just did the math, 1204, 8,000 would be nuts on 3S. Yeah, that might be a bit well, no, I would still do it. I would not be afraid of 8,000 kV on 3S. Not even a little bit. Henry Bennett says, or maybe Bidet says, you asked what batteries I misbought. I got the GNB 1S300 and 456 of each. But they're too wide. Yeah, the 450s are too wide. Don't know what to do with them now. If you want them, somebody will buy them. Somebody will buy them for sure for a 75mm build. Or you can do a 75mm build. Don't let me talk you into anything, but hey. Kinetic says, Betaflight just switched to rate profile 2 on a quad and won't switch to any other profile. Anyone have any ideas? You've probably got a, in your modes tab, you've probably got it set to change rate profiles, and the switch that is tied to is in that second position. So look in your modes tab, and also look in the adjustments tab. It's probably not in the modes tab, it's probably in the adjustments tab. But yeah, there's a switch on your transmitter that is driving it into PID profile 2. All right, so I just like pieced this together for the picture. At the end of the last stream, I talked about what I was going to do, and I did all that. I did all the center section. It's all ready to go. Beta FPV ELRS receiver with the Immortal T, Mini Immortal T. This is the cable for the Walksnail old school VTX, all ready to go, all set properly. This is a Talon F7 flight controller. Unfortunately, they're no longer manufactured. They were made by CL Racing. It's basically a CL Racing 20x20. And then I got 2 of the race wires with Mamba Toka 1505s. Frank Nicholas was absolutely right. The Loctite 638 retaining compound that I put on here was still wet 24 hours later. So I wiped some of it off. Hopefully some of it saturated down and will hold these bells onto the motor shafts. I'm just going to let her rip. If it rips, I'm not going to fly it in any unrecoverable spots initially. And if I run into the bells still ripping off, I'll dive into maybe the penetrating green Loctite. We'll see. I don't know what the best way is to do. This is a satisfying way of doing it. You put the arm LED. Oh, by the way, I'm doing red arm LEDs in the back and white arm LEDs in the front. I don't know why. It'll just look cool. Red like brake lights, I guess. I don't know. The TPU on here is green, so it was like really hard to decide. Like I didn't necessarily want it to be a full-blown Christmas build of like red and green, but then I didn't have any of these in purple. I really would have preferred to do purple. Purple and green looks good, but didn't have any purple. I just had green, but I don't do any green arm LEDs because that's like Patrick's color. Patrick does green on everything. So if we're flying together, I don't want us to both be green. And then the other color I had was blue, and I was like, blue and green, I don't know. So I did red and white. I don't know, whatever. The white will be cool because it'll, whatever color propeller is on it, it'll light that color propeller up real nice. But basically what I do is I put the arm LED in the right spot, and then I hold the motor up to it first, right? So get the arm LED down, hold the motor up to it, center the motor, or even maybe bolt the motor down, and then cut the motor wires to the real short length here, and then solder the motor to the arm LED, and then I'll put extra long wires on the arm LED so that at this point I can bolt the motor all the way down, not all the way down, just 2 screws. Put this down here, and as you're about to see, I'll measure these wire lengths out perfect. This gives me the perfect wire length here. I do actually prefer to set it up in a way that the wires from the race wire to the ESC are a little bit long, but this frame doesn't really have a great way of doing that. You can technically like go behind, and I could have gone behind these standoffs, but then that would add like too much. These standoffs are kind of like just in the wrong spot for the ability to do that, which is, it's not the end of the world, but it's just kind of one of those things. So yeah, it is what it is. If I have a little bit more room here, what I'll do is I'll send the wires up past where this standoff is, up into this area here, and then I'll do like a 180-degree turn. And that way I have a little bit of extra wire length. Where that's nice is if I change to a different motor that has shorter leads on it here, then I can pick up the arm LED and pull it outwards on the arm. The way that I have this set up, if I decide to change to a different motor that I've already cut down shorter than this is, I'm kind of screwed. And I'm going to have to rewire the arm LED or get a fresh set of those motors with the full length leads and then cut them to this size. So it's not a big thing, but it's a thing to kind of think about to sort of future-proof yourself. But for where we're at right now, what we're going to do is bolt this motor down, because you can kind of get an idea of where the motor is, but it moves a bunch. Like the motor shaft peeks out down below, so you can put that into the hole in the arm here, but a lot of times that lets the motor move a bunch, and this is too much movement. If you have this motor too far forward and then you cut these to perfect length, when you go to bolt it down, it's going to move back a little bit, and then they're going to be too short. So for me, what I do is just throw 2 bolts in the motor. It only takes a couple of seconds, and then you know that the motor is in the perfect spot. At the end of all this, I will take these motors off, because I'm not putting VHB on the bottom of the arm LEDs yet. So I'm only putting 2 bolts in these guys for right now, because we just need to get it so that it's centrally located. Those screws aren't even tight, but the fact that there's the 2 screws in it, it won't move now. So it's in its living position. The way that I do get a little bit of extra wire length, basically just to make sure I don't cut these too short, is to push the arm LED out a little bit. Instead of leaving the arm LED dead centered, just push it outwards away from the ESC a little bit, and that'll give you just a little bit of extra wire length, because this method of cutting these things it kind of gets you like the absolute perfect wire length, but you can very easily get not quite enough wire length doing it this way. But yeah, as long as you do that. So push it out. So this is it perfectly centered. See how it sits like kind of perfectly on the arm in the bottom left corner? So I'm going to pull it out a little bit, just like that, right? So leave it out here. Get these wires out of the way. I always do the outside wires first. And here's my method of doing this. Move these 2 wires. So this is the wire that we're working on. This is going to go on the first pad here. And I want this wire to come in from a 90-degree angle. And so what I do is push. See how I'm pushing on the wire? That, again, gives you a little bit of extra wire length. So pull out on the arm LED, push on this wire, and that's just going to make that little S there. It's hard to see, I know, but there you go. Now you can see it, right? So you're going to make that little S with it, and then you're going to hold it in place there, and now you can bring your clippers in, and you don't even have to cut it all the way through. You just have to leave a mark. I mean, I pretty much cut it all the way through. And now that wire is pretty much the exact right length. And now we just do that same sort of thing. The next 2 wires, though, they can't come in at a 90-degree angle like that. So they have to come in at more of like a 45. So I'm going to push this out again. I'm going to push this wire down. I don't want the wire to come up and make a straight line like that. That's going to be too short. I want to push it down. So I can do that over here, too. Keep this wire pushed down. And then at the last second, it's going to come up and go 45 degrees under this pad. Hold it like that. And then I always overcut these just a little bit, though. Don't overcut them a lot, but just cut a little bit extra there. And now you go. That one's the perfect length. And now same exact thing with the third one. You're just going to push. You're going to put this up to the third pad. So hold the arm LED out. Hold the wire down. At the last second, it comes up and makes a 45-degree angle onto the third pad here, and then just cut it a little bit too long there. And that is how you get those wire lengths absolutely dead on the money. And if you do that, you can have a finished product that looks like this. And all of the wires are out of the way. What's important is when you look down at it like this, if you got branches and shit that you're crashing through, none of these are going to get caught like immediately. They're all nice and tucked in. See how that works? This is the carbon fiber that I'm rubbing my thumb on, not the wires. There is this one wire on this side that I cut ever so slightly too short. I wish this third wire here had a little bit more length to it. You see how it kind of straight lines and you got that little gap there? So I made that mistake, but I cut it too short, and it's actually not that bad. But this is way better than running these wires in at a 90-degree angle and having them like looping out and then going over. When you run these in at a 90-degree angle, that's when these wires get hung up in branches and just mangled, either ripped off the ESC or the silicone insulation gets mangled and you have to replace these wires all the time. You want to tuck these bastards in. Cool? So our wires are the exact right length on this motor number 4 here. And so now it's just a matter of lifting this up, getting them stripped, tinned, and put down to the pads. And you only, depending on the size of the pads, you might want to strip these with just a little bit or a lot. These are tiny little pads. So I am just going to strip. Man, I got to put magnification on for this. All this stuff is now so small. Put on your old man glasses, your old man headset, and away we go. So for these tiny little pads, I'm just going to strip off a little bit from each one of these. It's easier to use your fingernails, but I've done a whole bunch of these in the last 2 days, and my fingernails hurt like hell right now, so I'm going to use the wire strippers. If you use wire strippers, you got to be really gentle. It's super easy to nick the inner strands of wire, and you do not want to do that. It's a bad thing. What I do after stripping them, especially when I use the wire clippers like that, is to push with my fingernail on the silicone insulation. Typically when you strip them, you pull the silicone insulation up. You just want to push it back down so that when you hit it with the soldering iron, it doesn't shrink the insulation back down and give you a whole bunch of exposed wire between the pad and the actual insulation. Ramdongo says, how big are those motors? I'm guessing a 3.5 inch. This is a 3 inch, and these are 1505s. They would absolutely work on a 3.5 inch rig, but I'm going to run pitchy 3 inch props on here, hopefully, and they should be a really good match for them. Also, I've got like 8 of these motors floating around, and I want to beat the living hell out of this thing. So, all right, so we've stripped the wires. Now we want to tin the wires. We're going to put the soldering iron on one side, and we're going to push solder from the other side. We are trying to push solder in between the individual strands of wire. That's why we do it this way. Soldering iron on one side, push the insulation from the other. Soldering iron on one side, push the insulation on the other. And just be patient when you're doing that. All right. Now the wires are stripped and tinned. They just need to be put down on the pads. Let's get these two guys out of the way. Let's get this camera cable out of the way. And we'll get that going here. All right, so we're going to come in with some tweezers so that we can hold the wire without getting burned. I'm going to put the wire in roughly the right position, and then I'm going to grab it with the tweezers. There's a certain amount of dexterity that you have with your fingers that you don't necessarily have with the tweezers, and it just kind of helps to do it this way. I cut this wire awful long. Did I cut the other ones that long? I did. I added more extra length than I really need on these, but I'm actually going to leave it because I can just bunch them up in here. I do have just enough room to kind of bunch these wires up in here, and I would rather have a little bit too much extra wire than not quite enough. On the other side, I have like a mix between like the perfect amount and not quite enough. And so on this side, I kind of fixed that. The other thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of flux to the pads of the ESC. That's how you get nice shiny balls of solder, is by having enough flux. Oh man, this flux syringe is getting clogged up again. Oh man, it is full-blown clogged. Shit. Hang on. Oh, no, I got it. I just need to push really hard. Alright, so I got a big blob of flux on each one. Sucks. Big blob of sucks on each one of those. Alright, and now the wire is not in the tweezers properly, so hang on. I want to make sure that I'm able to get this wire down flat to the pad. That's close enough to get it started, and then I'm going to have to come in and just touch it up. But for right now, let's just get it initially down. Oh, actually, no, I'll just do my little trick. There's a little trick where you can push the wire down with the soldering iron, let go with the tweezers, and then grab it again with the tweezers. It's hard to do that. So if you've been soldering for a while, you can try that. If you haven't been soldering for long, maybe don't try that. Make sure you get the wire in the perfect position before you bring the tip of the soldering iron in. That's the much safer way of doing it. And there we go. I might actually need to strip a little bit more off of this wire. I think I actually stripped it a little bit too close. There's not quite enough there. Yeah, hang on. I need to well, no, I can come in. No, yeah, I'm going to strip just a little tiny bit more off this wire. All right, hang on. So this pad that I'm coming into at a 90-degree angle, it just, in order to get the wire flat, which is really the goal, I just need a little bit more space that I don't have. So hang on a second here. Jesus, there it goes. That was fighting me. Silicone is being stubborn. There we go. That's perfect. All right, now we got it. Okay. So, one more time. Bring these wires down here. Got this guy where it needs to be. And, oh yeah, that's going to sit on there much better now. All right, wire on pad. Okay. Grab it up close. Whoops. Jesus, I'm having a hard time with this one. The pads are really small on this ESC, admittedly. All right, hang on. I don't have enough solder on there now is the issue that I'm having, so let's just put this here. We'll pick up a little bit of solder on the tip of the iron, and then we'll be done with this one. What the fuck happened here? How did that happen? I got a big blob of solder in there. What? What the hell? How did that get in there? What? Oh, let's see if it'll just break off. Yeah, that's weird. How did you get in there, big ugly blob of solder? What the hell? I have never had that happen. That was very weird. Okay. I don't know what that was all about. That was super weird. All right, let's get these other goddamn wires out of the way. Everything keeps popping up and getting in the way. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to rework this one last time, and I'm going to just add a little bit of solder, and then we should be fine. Tip of the soldering iron is filthy. It's not doing me any favors. Let's clean it. There we go. All right, pick up a bunch of solder here. One last time. That's better. It was in the perfect position, it just didn't have quite enough solder on it. Now we're good. All right. Other two. Same kind of deal. Get it in the right position and then grab it with the tweezers. And you want to kind of get it with the tips of the tweezers. You don't want to be too far down because you'll lose some control over it. So tips of the tweezers. Get it up at a nice 45-degree angle. Get the wire exactly where you want it. And then come in with the heat. That's at a little bit too much of an angle. Nope, it's totally fine. I'm gonna rework it. It's just not quite there. With these little tiny rigs, I would really rather get it absolutely perfect. Because like the tolerances are just so small. So let's just hit this one more time. Pick up a little more solder. Oh, now I screwed it up. There we go. Let's get it right this time. There we go. That's where I want it. And what I'm really trying to do is hang the silicone off the side of the pad and get the wires absolutely flat on there. And you know, I did not, all three of these, I did not get quite enough of the silicone off of there. I was pretty close, but I left a little bit too much silicone on these guys, which is why I'm having this problem. There we go. All right, good. Third one might be okay, but that one was definitely not quite there. Come back in with the tweezers. Grab it nice and close. Get the angle that you want. And then get it down flat on the pad. The big thing that you want to do is get the wires completely flat on the pad so that if the wire gets pulled, like when an arm breaks, for example, it's pulling 90 degrees to the pad rather than pulling up on the pad, trying to rip the pad off, right? You want it to be, you want the wires to be flat. This is the pad. This is the bundle of wires. You want them flat so that if it pulls, it's trying to pull this pad sideways. If you have these wires up or you have a big blob of solder, when they get pulled, they're going to peel. They're going to peel that pad right off, right? If they're flat on there, they're going to try to slide the pad sideways, and it's really strong sideways. It's really weak being peeled because the pads are just glued. So, yeah, that's pretty important if you want your shit to be really, really durable and last forevers. So pay attention to that. Get your wires totally flat on the pad. And one of the requirements to do that is that you get the silicone just right, and you're going to kind of hang the silicone off the side of the pad so that the exposed bit of wires can sit flat. If the silicone is there along with it, that's going to make the wires stand up, right? Because the silicone takes up some of that vertical space. So last one here. Just get the wire routing as correct as you can. The reason you want to route the wire like this before you solder it down is that it's going to make the wire rotate a little bit. The wires have a little bit of rotation to them, And so by getting this the wiring path correct, it's gonna like pre-put that rotation into the wire, and that makes a little bit of a difference. Not the end of the world, but every little bit helps. There we go. And you will know it when you get the wires flat on the pad. It won't be a ball of solder. It'll be like instead of being like a ball like that, it'll kind of be like this. It'll look really flat, and you'll be like, wow, that wire really kind of flattened out on there. You'll see what I mean. I'll show you what I mean. All right, so there we go. That's looking good. That's what I want to see. Let's see if this heap of shit will focus. So you see how flat? Nah, you're not going to be able to see how flat it is on that pad. But again, it doesn't look like a ball of solder, right? It looks like a little mound of solder. That's what you want. And this is a little bit too much extra wire here, but it'll be okay. It's going to be fine. I can eat up some of that extra wire by forcing this down a little bit more. But again, I'd rather have a little bit too much wire than not enough. And that's not like kinking. You know, that wire is not kinking. It's just bending. I wouldn't want any more wire than this because it would start to like make an actual like crease or whatever. And that you do not want. That's bad for the wires. All right, last one. Walter says, put solder other place. You lose during transition in connector. What connector? What do you mean? Right. By the way, all of the pads on this ESC have been tinned. This is an ESC that I've used before. So yeah, you don't see me tinning the ESC pads because they've already got a nice blob of solder on each one of them. That might have been what Walter was talking about. So first things first, let's get this motor bolted down so that it's in the exact right position. Okay. And so I'm just going to do that with 2 screws real quick, and I'm not even going to tighten them because these motors are going to come right back off to tape down the race wires. Fiddly some bitches, aren't they? Jesus. There we go. All right. Motor is solid. Arm LED is in position. I'm going to push it out a little bit more than it needs to be. Take this wire, push it flat to the board, up and over, and then cut it a little bit too long. I basically cut the wires at the middle of the next pad. You've got 3 pads in a row. The wire runs long ways, and so if it's the wire for this pad, I'll cut it in the middle of this, and then it gives me that little bit extra so that the end of the wire, I'll cut it here, and then it'll end up landing there on the outside of that first pad. That's the easiest way to kind of explain that. For the second wire, it's not going to come in at a 90 degree. Keep it pushed down here and then run it up and over. At a 45, that's where it's going to land. And it's okay for it to kind of move like that. Again, just make sure you cut a little bit extra. And when I say a little bit, like I really do mean a little bit. Just a tiny little bit extra. You don't want to cut too much extra. Last one, push the arm LED out. Hold the wire down flat where you want it to go, and then up at a 45. And this will give you just a little bit of extra wire, but not so much that it looks ugly and gets caught in branches and shit like that. There it is. There's an extra bit of wire somewhere. All right. I think I got just about enough left in my fingernail pane. This is how I really prefer to strip these wires. Your fingernails will never nick the inner strands of wire, so you will always maintain the integrity of the inner strands by using your fingernails until you use your fingernails to cut it too short, and then you're screwed and you have to come in with the not too short, cut not enough, and then you have to come in with the pliers anyway, flush cutters anyway rather. I'm just going to do it all with these. I've actually been using the flush cutters more lately. Partially out of sort of laziness, but also because I check when I cut these little bits off, I actually check them to see if there's any strands of wire in there. And as long as there aren't, there's still the risk that I've nicked one of those other strands, but these are not TinyHawk motors, so these are not using 30 gauge motor wire. These are 24 gauge, and there are a lot of strands in there. So it's less of a big deal when there's a lot of strands, because usually you'll only nick like one of those strands. If you're going to be careful with it, and if you've done this a lot, you can get away with it. If you're new, I wouldn't recommend it. Use your fingernails. It's going to be a better bet. They're attached to your fingers, and you can usually do a full build without them getting too sore. We're now going to tin the wires. This is basically loading the tips of the wires up with solder so that you don't have to use solder while you're connecting these to the pads. To use solder while you're connecting these to the pads, you're going to have a third arm growing out of your stomach to do it the right way. So this is pretty important. Nice and gentle. No big deal. The pads have solder. The tips of the wires have solder. And now we can just use one hand to hold the wire where it needs to be and the other hand to bring the tip of the soldering iron in. And that's our next step. So we're going to come in here, and I'm actually going to, you want to move the work, not yourself to the work. So I'm going to move this in a way that I can hold the wire but still come in with the soldering iron. And that's typically like this for me when I'm doing this set of pads. That first set of pads on the left, on my left side, I can do it with the thing sideways, but these are much more challenging. So first one here, let's get it run the way it wants to run. Down nice and low, and then up and over. Push down on that. Get my sharp, fine-tipped tweezers real close. And that's where I want it to be. Push down a little bit on the wire and then kind of rotate the tweezers forward a little bit, and that'll help the wire sit flat down on the pad there. That one went perfect. All right, middle one. Okay, hold it down flat where you want it to be. And then let it come up and over. Grab it with your tweezers here. Get the angle just right. And there we go. That's exactly where I want it. Bring in the heat. All of the solder has melted. Push down a little bit to flatten the wires out on the pad. Good to go. And then you can come in while it's still warm and just kind of push it down a little bit just to sort of get it out of the way. All right, last one. Hold it down. Grab it up near the tip with the tweezers. Oops. that nice angle on the pad. Again, push it down one more time. Make sure the wire's not rotating in a weird way. And there we go. That's looking pretty good. Alright, pushing down with the tip of the soldering iron. Just a little bit. And that is pretty much perfect. That middle pad has a little Hershey Kiss forming. Let me see if I can just clean that up a little bit. The solution to that is flux. Basically, the pad cooled off a little bit and the tip of the soldering iron was hotter than the pad. And solder travels towards heat. It's one of the kind of really cool things about solder. And so the solder will try to come with the tip of the soldering iron. The solution is just to put a little bit of flux on there, hold the wire exactly where it is, and just reheat the pad. Ah, shit. The wire backed off a little bit. That's the problem with reworking, is sometimes you can fix one problem but cause another. That's pretty good. That wire is not totally flat on the pad, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it any better than that. Let's try this. Let's move this a little bit, because I want to try to get the tweezers sideways here. Problem I'm having is the wire's wanting to angle up. So grab it sideways like this. Maybe this will work. This could easily make it worse though. Nope, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was trying to do there. There we go. That one is looking nice. Show you guys in 1 second. Let me just route these wires the way that I want them. And come on. Come on, little fella. Get out of there. There it is. Yeah. Having this shit neat and tidy like this also helps you see when you've got a problem. If it's a big clusterfuck, if you got a wire that's starting to like let go, or any number of weird things happening, you won't be able to see it because it's just a huge mess in there. So yeah, do good quality work. It'll help you in the long run. Again, I could have maybe made those a little bit shorter, but if I need to move this race wire down towards the end of the arm in the future, I'll be really happy that I used this little bit of extra wire. You can see the wires are nice and flat on the pads. They're not sitting up really high. That's what you want. You can see the silicone hanging off the side of the pad. That's really how you get the wires flat, is that you hang the silicone off the side of the pad like that. See that? That's kind of important. And that's also why you need to get the amount of silicone that you strip off just right. Know what I'm saying? All right, there it is. 3-inch frame. This is a Quadmula Siren F3 split. And it is now good to go. That is all of the soldering. All we need to do is drop this down. Oh, I do need to make a ESC to flight controller JST plug, which again, I'm not gonna subject you guys to that pain in the ass. So this comes back here, plugs into the Walksnail VTX. This wire run is nice and short. You can tuck right down in there, or actually what I'll do is send it up over like this. Put it up over like this. Sending shit. And then the receiver. All right, so the camera is going to go up and over like that, I believe. Man, this camera cable is awful long. Walksnail has like too long and too short for their camera cables. Shit, sorry guys. Walksnail has like too long and too short for their camera cables. It's kind of annoying. So that's up and over there. Quadmula gives you these little 3D printed things to use as nuts. I don't know. They're like an awful neon green. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's It's a bit much. I'm going to use regular nuts, I think. Regular M2 nuts. Those would probably be completely fine. Receiver is going to live here, I think, or maybe over here. There's a big hump in the... Oh, wait, no. That's how it's going to live. It's going to live like that. There you go. Yeah, so actually I'm going to put it here. There's a perfect little crevice in the heatsink. So I'll put that there. I got to get some 3D printed things to drop this Mini Mortal T down there. I got to check. Where I mount it is going to depend upon how long the little 3D printed things are to mount this guy. So we'll see there, but I'll do that tonight. But yeah, it's just going to get VHB'd there. As this gets hot, it's going to heat up the VHB and make it stick a little bit better. So that's basically going to hang out right there. These two guys are going to be in this. What? Oh. Man, I thought this had the splits in it. I'm going to have to... Oh, man. I have to take this VTX off of here to get these antennas unplugged. God damn it. All right, I screwed up there. This does, you have to run the UFLs through these tubes. I thought these tubes were split down the side so you could open them up and just jam the cable in there. But they're not. I might cut these down here to open them up, because this guy is heat transfer taped down. Boy, is that annoying. If I cut these guys, though, this piece is going to want to fall off. No, it'll be fine. So, yeah, I'm just going to do it now. So chop that, and then chop that. Cool. And so now I can open it up like that and sneak the cable in. Let's see what happens when I chop this one. This might fall the hell apart when I do this. I think I'll be okay, but you never know. Nope, it's good. It's connected to the top part. And then I'm going to run zip ties to hold this back closed again. So there's like one little strand holding it together. There we go. All right, so like these guys are gonna go. Let's see. So these guys are gonna point inside, and they're gonna do like little loops in here, where they cross over each other, and then they're gonna go into that jib jab. So this guy goes on this side. And the other guy goes on the other side, obviously. Cool. And so I'm just putting it into the wire bit, and then I can slide it up to the little tube part. All right, so there it is over the wire, and then we can just, oops. Come on, you bastard, get in there. There we go. And then I can slide it. And they made the inner diameter of this way too big. Oh man, come on. Really? This is specifically for the Walksnail, and like these are the Walksnail antennas. Why is it... Alright, so in addition to that, I'm now going to have to run... shrink wrap to beef up these plastic antenna tubes. Alright, well, there's a chance that if I zip tie these hard enough... No, there's not. That inner diameter is way too big. What? I know why they did it. They did it so that you could slide the UFLs through. If they make these too small, the UFL won't fly through. But with these like this, as soon as I crash into something, it's going to do that. And so, yeah, that's a total deal breaker. So I'm going to need to do something about this. Of course. Because, yeah, this won't work the way that this is right now. Yeah, usually what I'll do is I'll beef up this tube with some shrink wrap. In order to do that, I do have to unplug these. So it's looking like no matter what, I'm going to have to unplug these antennas, which is kind of maddening because of the way that I've built this. But that's what it's going to look like, and I'll figure this out. Maybe what I can do is cut a little bit more off the bottom, and then when I zip tie it, it'll get more of the TPU out of the way. I think that's what I'm going to try. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to try. Camera mounts of these carbon fiber plates. They slide into the base plate and the top plate. They have two different orientations, one for 19 millimeter cameras, one for 20 millimeter cameras. This is a 19 mil camera, so we're going to use the innermost position there. So that's going to sandwich them like that. And then top plate on. Need to figure out these wires a little bit, route this Mortal T, but it's basically going to look like that. Man, this camera cord is really long. That is going to take some doing to get that happy. And there you go. That's what it's going to look like. Throw a battery strap on, throw the arms on, crank a bunch of screws down, and away we go. Let's throw it on the scale. Raccoon FPV says, I've been gone for a year. Has anything changed? Not really. Some Tiny Whoop stuff has changed. Tiny Whoops are better than they ever were, but FPV's been pretty steady state for a while now. 153.5, no propellers, and only 2 screws in each motor. I'm super curious what these guys weigh. If I add these arm protectors with the admittedly cool little inserts, but heavy little inserts, we go from 153.43. Oh my God. They add 5 grams. That's too much. To 158.7. They add 5.5 grams. Jesus hell. That's too much, man. That's too much. I'm either going to not run arm protectors, or I'll go on Thingiverse and I'll try to find a lighter weight arm protector. Yeah, it's too much. So yeah, 153.47. The batteries that I'm going to run are 850 4S. Do I have one over here, maybe? Here we go. This has an XT60, which is a little heavy, but there's no propellers on this rig, so it'll probably even its way on out. 254.2, so right at 250. That'll move up and or down a little bit, depending on the props and whatever other hardware I gotta put in there. But there you go, my friends. Walksnail, Quadmula, Siren F3 split. Man, those arm protectors are heavy. Imagine running a full set of those. That's an extra 10 grams all the way out on the ends of the arms. That's rough. I miss anything in chat? Looks like we're good. Let's fly a little bit. I said I would fly, so let's fly. My shit is in my bag because I actually left the house yesterday in an attempt to stave off the evil depression monsters, which was unsuccessful, unfortunately. All right, here we go. What do we find? Let's fly. Wait, a bunch of. Where'd those 450s go? Where'd those batteries go? Oh, I put them in the thing, didn't I? I put them in the case, didn't I? Yeah, I did. This case is all loaded up. Let's fly this guy with the 0703. 27,000s. And so this is a fairly lightweight. This is a very lightweight, actually, 75mm rig. We're gonna compare this to a 65mm rig. Brad Bonin says, I have Mambas on my 5-inch and they are 50 grams a piece versus like 32 grams on T-motors. Jesus. What are they making those motors out of? Lead? Glod? Are they making them out of Glod? Alright. Here we go. Thanks for hanging, friends. CiottiFPV.com if you like this kind of stuff and would like to see it continue. I do rely on you beautiful bastards to keep the ship afloat here and keep the reviews completely unbiased. Man, this battery and this Mobula 7 V4 frame, it be moving. It be moving around. In theory, there's no video because it's on low power mode. Yep. There we go. Mobula 7 1S ELRS with a motor swap. And BT 2.0. I'm pretty sure they don't come with BT 2.0 out of the box. Rejected. Oh, shit. Oh, God! Oh, that hit the ground like a sack of potatoes. I think I'm under the couch. I believe... Hey! Thank you! Teddy has just lost his mind. Hear him up there freaking out. He tried to get it. Where is he going? Where are you going, small dog? Oh, God! Almost hit Maggie in the head. This is very light for a 75. Unfortunately, when you make a 75 this light, you sacrifice a little bit of power. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of a balance. Is Azalea cooking? She is. What's she cooking? Oh! Oh, wow. I landed right next to the dog food bowl. Oh! Look, and now you have to help me, Azalea. You happy? She didn't help. She's not helping. Oh, come on this side. Ah! That was a good one. Oh, God, we're falling down the stairs. Guaranteed. I assume the battery was dead, but I forgot. This thing is pretty efficient. Wait, I can turn on the OSD. What am I doing? There we go. Yeah, we're good. We can harass Azalea a little bit more. That slow turn. I gotta get her when her hands are full. Should I land it on the hot stove? What if I landed it in her food? Oh, she'd be so upset. Oh, God. Oh, fan. Oh! Oh. Yeah. So I will say this. If you've got shag carpeting like this, you might need to do 75mm rigs because 65mm rigs sit so low that you can't take them back off in this really, really shaggy carpet / rug. Oh, the mega full room, in air quotes, power loop. Man, this thing feels lazy. Where is he? Ah, he was behind me! What a sneaky son of a bitch. How did he get back behind me? Whoa! Did you see him? He put his little nose up at it. Why won't you chase it, dog? Unless I land it. If he hears it land, he's down. What if I do this? Oh, that got him! He peeked his little... Oh, that little jump! That little jump was everything. Oh, he's getting us! He's getting us! He gonna eat us! This is it! He's finally had it! He's finally had it. He gonna eat it. Oh, he flipped it over. I didn't do it. Where is he? There he is. That little head shake. I think it might have caught his little beard. Oh god, I hit the bottom of that shelf. Alright, this battery has to be dead. It has to. Come on. Oh, it's dead. Yeah, I gotta put the low 4 minutes and 24 seconds. I mean, we were just dicking around with the dog for a lot of that, but still, I gotta put the low voltage warning a little bit lower on that. Man, my hands are sweaty as shit. Why? Oh, there's a bunch of hair in this. Maybe that's why it felt like ass. There is an incredible amount of hair in motor number 3. Jesus. Get your 6 batteries in today, my friends. Don't skip a day. This is not leg day. There's no leg day in FPV. Do not skip. Alright, I got a good chunk of that hair out. So there's the 0702 23,500 kV rig. Here comes the fatty rig with the 1002 23,500s. Oh man, it's late. It's almost 6. Let's go directly to 65 millimeter build. Where the hell are they? They're in here. We're going to go to old reliable, the ultimate freestyle tiny whoop with the 32,000 kV motors on the HQ YOLO props. Will this be the lowest of the lows where these props explode? It could be. They're ultra lightweight. Come on, there we go. So now we're at like 18.1 grams. But all the magical 65 millimeter goodness. It must be the other module. Alright. 300 mAh folded cell BT 2.0, of course. Oh my god. The difference in response time is absolutely absurd. Oh boy, 65 millimeter is quite the thing. Oh! You can tell every time I catch it, you see how I'm bouncing upwards a little bit elevation-wise? That's because I'm used to the 75s where I have to give it a significant extra amount of throttle to catch its fat-ass weight. Ooh, boy. This is so much more accurate. Oh my god. So much less momentum. I've really grown to love the way the 75 mil rigs fly, but man, this is just like, I'm sorry, but this is better. For inside, for sure. For outside, I mean, these are still pretty good. But I think 75s are the move for outdoor. I think that with the wind out there, the 75s are really good. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. I can fly backwards. You can chase me. Please, keep chasing. I'm on fire with my backwards flying right now. You little jerk! Oh, he's coming down, isn't he? Oh, he's coming down. He knows where I am. He knows where I'm at. What you want, buddy? Get down those stairs. Get down those stairs, little doggy. What is this? Bunch of books. Woo! Woo! Oh! I thought I might just be able to not hit the ceiling, but it had that momentum. Teddy Spaghetti, I got your number, little dog. I went in between those little globe things, but you couldn't even see it. 3.4, we done. Ah! So close. Oh my god! Alright, that's a good place to end, since it just fell down behind the thing where it's not really recoverable. There you go, friends. I know I only did 2, but you do the extra 4 for me. Fly at least 4. Fly 6. It's not that much more. Keep that rhythm. Stay in that rhythm, my friends. Ugh. Ugh. Is it always the last one I try? Gotcha, you little bastard. There we go. Thanks for hanging, friends. Hope you enjoyed. Come on back and see me tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. I'll be here. I'll probably be in a little bit of a better mood. Not much better, but a little bit better. Be good, friends. Where does this battery end up at? 3.7. Perfect. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow night. Thanks for hanging. Sorry I wasn't filled with energy and happy today. Some days are like that. And that's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. And maybe it'll be a little bit better than today. Maybe not, but maybe. Love you, bye! I'm not ready. Here's more flying that Fat Boy 75mm rig outside. Let me know if you want those 1002 23,500s. They're a better motor than I'd previously given them credit for. Here's the first battery that I flew. Nope. Here's the first. Nope. Here's the first battery I flew at that spot. Nope. That ain't it. Did it delete one of the... Must have deleted one of the files. Meteor 75 with a motor swap. Flywoo 1002 23,500s. Gemfan 1610s. See ya.